Hello everyone, let's listen to today's story. A human vampire. In the early morning, as Rahaf was walking in complete calm and steady steps towards her high school, she felt as if someone was following her, walking behind her, and watching her. She stopped suddenly and turned right and left, but she did not find anyone at all, as usual. And as soon as she reached her school, she imprinted on her right cheek a kiss that she felt, but she did not find the perpetrator. Rahaf is an icon of beauty, a roaring example of elegance, and despite all that, she is completely calm. She has one friend, Rafif, a girl who enjoys wit and keeps all the secrets of her friend Rahaf. As for Rahaf, she is a very rational girl, and she does not believe in vampire stories at all, as she considers them to be made-up legends. Jimin, one of the most powerful vampires, is the awaited ruler of the kingdom, obsessed with the love of humanity, and he can only approach it by laws. Therefore, he watches her from afar all day long because of his obsession with her. Jimin's father is a vampire, but he married a human being and they gave birth to him, and according to the laws of the vampire kingdom, Jimin must marry a human being like his father. Two friends dialogue. Rahaf was feeling very confused and afraid at the same time, but she was trying hard to hide both feelings. She entered the school before the start of school, and began to search seriously for her only friend. Rafif, why are you so late? Don't you know that I wait for you every day early to talk to you about the past day before school? Rahaf, I felt like someone was watching me all the way from our house to school. I was nervous, so I would take a step and stop, so I didn't get there early. Rafif, hey girl, didn't I tell you over and over that you were delusional? Rahaf, Rafif, but I don't have any illusions. She was silent a little, and her face showed signs of fear. I always feel touches on my body, and when I'm sleeping I feel breathy and hot as if someone is sleeping next to me and hugging me, and when I open my eyes I don't find anyone. Is it possible that everything I feel is just an illusion? Rafif was shocked. Is it possible for him to be a vampire? Rahaf, shut up, they don't exist in our real world. It's just a myth, my dear friend. Rafif, you don't know anything, he's a vampire, and he loves you too. The tragedy is that if a vampire loves a human being, he becomes obsessed with her, and you must become his property forever. My love, I am very worried about you, and we must find a solution. Rahaf sarcastically, then send him my pure love. Her neighborhood, Rahaf, did not know that there was actually a vampire fascinated by her beauty and obsessed with her personality, and had fallen in love with her, and he had heard her talk about sending him her pure love. He whispered in her ear, my love, I have arrived. She almost went crazy at the time, but she pretended to be strong and went to her studies. Her friend, Rafif, followed her, who was convinced that her friend there was wrong with her, and she did not want to talk about him. She followed her friend, and the studying classes began one after the other, and if a teacher came to them to relieve the boring that had befallen them all, saying, prepare yourselves to go on a camping trip in the forest, to explore the forest and to finish each student his report on a specific type of tree in it. You will come to school in the morning, and at 9 o'clock we will go. Prepare yourselves well, and each of you has to come with everything he needs during it. Rafif asked, how long will we stay on this trip? He replied, a whole week. Asrir Rafif rejoiced, but Rahaf told her, we will study with it, it is not an entertainment trip. Rafif, who loves to play and enjoy life, was upset. Unlike the personality of her friend, Rahaf, who loves hard work and diligence, especially with her studies. After the school day ended, the two friends said goodbye to each other, and both of them went home. The girls returned to her home. Rahaf returned home, greeted her parents and went upstairs to her private room. She took off her clothes and went into her bathroom to take a warm bath, and then went down to eat lunch with her parents. She did all the homework, and then lay on her bed to wake up early, having prepared everything she would need for her trip. She fell into a deep sleep, only to be awakened by the feeling of someone's hand on her waist, and complete warmth behind her, as if someone was sleeping next to her and hugging her tightly. She was horrified by this feeling and turned around to see the nature of what she was feeling, but she found nothing. The lights came on, but she didn't find anything at all. She sat on the bed trying to calm down from her piety, and she said, "Raf, these are illusions and fantasies. Rahaf must be a nightmare." She found it difficult to get back to sleep again. She kept thinking a lot and trying to overcome her feeling of fear until she went to sleep. At 8 o'clock in the morning, she cried at the voice of her friend, "Rafif, are you still asleep yet?" Even whoever was next to her left after being shocked by her annoying voice, and disappeared but is invisible to all of them from the start. Rahaf was terrified and immediately got up screaming, "Who killed?" Rafif laughed, saying, "No one was killed, but we were late for school. In a short time I got ready for school and they went, and from school the journey began. Camping and study trip. The first time the students arrived, they were distributed, and each two pitched the tent together, and worked hard to discover trees of all kinds and characteristics, and so on. When evening came, they lit a fire and each group wrapped around a torch. Rahaf, Rafif and 3 of their classmates were in one group, and they played a game of challenge. They grabbed a bottle and one of them twisted it, and it was the turn of Rahaf to choose between the challenge or the daring, so I was afraid of daring, so she chose the challenge. Challenging and revealing the horrors. There was an abandoned house in the forest, so the challenge was for Rahaf to go to it alone. Rafif informed her that the house was broadcast around it and that it belonged to vampires, and warned her not to go there. She was encouraged, and despite her extreme fear, she pretended to be strong in front of all of them, and indeed she carried herself and went to the abandoned house, and entered it to carry out the challenge by picturing next to every wall inside it. As soon as I opened the door and entered, I found it a palace from the inside, although it did not look like this from the outside. In front of her appeared a very handsome young man, tall, slender and muscular, with blue eyes, white skin, and very black hair. Rahaf stammered in the conversation. "Sorry, I didn't think it was a house in it. Sorry again. Please excuse me, it is a challenge my friends asked me." "Young man, no, you are very beautiful, and I have never seen such beauty." "Rahaf, I don't know how to thank you." She was about to open the door, but she couldn't, so she asked him to open the door for her. But he said, "You have become my captive, and mine forever." Rahaf was surprised by his response, took a few steps back, and said, "Who are you?" He said, "I am the one who is always beside you and in front of his eyes day and night." She said, "What is your nickname?" He said, "I'm Jimin, a vampire." "Rahaf, do I have to believe you, and can a vampire look like you?" "Jimin, but I didn't want to show you my second look." "Rahaf, how can I believe you then?" Immediately he became whiter, his eyes glowed red, and his fangs came out of his mouth. shock and amazement. He carried her in his arms